when Joe exposed his own terrible father.
My real father was crazy. He was like a psychotic person.
It strangely became a TikTok beef.
You lied about me. Your father. You owe me a big apology.
You'll need a bit of context. Joe was born in August 1967 to Joseph...
That's his dad?
Rogan Sr. and his mother Susan Lembo. As a child, Joe thought his dad was awesome.
Well, at the time, I thought that my father was like a hero. I think every kid thinks like that about his dad, especially if your dad is like an imposing figure.
But at the age of only 5, his parents got divorced, at which point Joe and his mother moved to San Francisco, where she remarried, giving Joe a stepdad. Meanwhile, his biological father, Joseph Rogan Sr., lived his own separate life as a cop in New Jersey, leading him and Joe to completely lose contact. But as he entered his teens,
yeah, it's pretty much as much distance as you can get while staying in the United States. Yeah, divorce, it just isn't good for children, period. You know, if you decide to have kids, really try and make sure, do your best that your partner is, you know, who you think they really are and if they are going to be a good parent or not. Because I've seen it screw up so many kids throughout my life.
Joe realized his father wasn't exactly a hero. In a 2015 Rolling Stone interview, Joe explained, "All I remember of my dad," he says, "are these brief violent flashes of domestic violence. But I don't want to complain about my childhood. Nothing bad ever really happened to me. It was just confusing, you know. He was just a very violent, scary guy. After the split, we moved to San Francisco and that was it. Never heard from him again." It was further mentioned that Joe really would rather not discuss the topic, made apparent by its lack of discussion on the podcast. For the first 4 years of the Joe Rogan Experience, he never once mentioned his biological father. But all of this changed on episode 118, when Joe began to expose exactly who his father was.
All my damaged shit came from my real father before I was 7. My real father was crazy. He was like a psychotic person.
He explained some of the worst things that his dad had done.
He beat the out of my mother.
Like he would be the type to come home
He beat
like,
the out of my cousin.
Really?
Yeah, he beat my cousin up. He picked my cousin up by his hair, threw him in. He was a big guy, big, scary, crazy cop from New Jersey. I got to see worst case scenario, someone who just can't keep it together, smacks women, beats the shit out of kids.
Further adding in the Rolling Stone interview,
That's terrible.
"When I was 5, I had a fight with one of my cousins. Punched him in the face over something stupid. My dad pulled me aside and I told him the truth of what happened. He said, 'Did you cry?' I said, 'No.' He said, 'Good, don't ever cry.' I mean, he was happy that I punched my cousin."
He didn't give a that I was in a fight. He just wanted to make sure there was no crying bitches in the street. It was
Dude.
not great advice for a 5-year-old.
I was punching everybody after that. I was like, all right, you're getting punched. It was so stupid. It was like the worst way of
I can't believe I missed this. I watch Joe Rogan all the time.
raising a child ever.
At this point, however, Joe was barely famous, and as a result, his father won't respond directly to the allegations. All he will say is, "I don't talk about people the way they talk about me. That's not in my DNA. What's gone is gone." Despite
I mean, that's an easy way to shrug accountability, but it is what it is.
his father denying the allegations, Joe had clearly been through something.
There's something about like seeing someone you're close to who's an adult beating up like a 10 or 11-year-old. You ever see that before?
To the extent that it changed who Joe was as a person.
Is there a violent person in there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of violence in me for sure. I don't know if it's genetic or learned or...
Your mom and dad broke up early on. Is it connected to the dad at all?
I'm sure it's connected to him also because he was violent and it made me feel very scared to be around him. But I also think it's connected in who he was as a human is transferred into my DNA.
In the meantime, Joseph Rogan Sr. had 2 twin daughters, automatically...
It's a shame you had to go through that. You know, if you're going through that out there. Just, you know, just believe things will get better. They may not get better right away. It may take a lot of time and effort, but you know, you can work through it if you want to. You just have to genuinely want to.
Making them Joe Rogan's half-sisters. One of them told the Daily Mail, "I was 19 years old when my father told me about Joe Jr. He was not even famous yet. He was a comedian and did a show called News Radio. We looked him up on the computer and emailed him asking to meet and explained that his father would also like to meet him. Joe did respond, but not kindly. He referred to my father as a sperm donor, so my sister and I backed off and never emailed him again. Joe clearly had no interest in reuniting with his father.
Did you ever want to meet your dad? Did you ever? See, you know what's funny? My mom.
I mean, I met him. I knew him until I was like 6.
Instead, using the experience as a learning lesson.
It made me realize that you can't count on people, but you can
Then
count
that's
on
trust
some people.
issues,
But
man.
I did, definitely had
That's trust
for a long
issues right
time.
there.
But become someone that people.
I mean, no. Like, it really, it's just understanding that you can't really trust people, and it's not always for like bad reasons. You know, there could be good reasons, or you know, sometimes people don't realize they're doing what they're doing. You just can't do anything about it. So, you know, keeping them out of your life is the best, you know, way to go forward. I think it's just a part of maturing, really.
Count on.
But while Joe thought his dad wouldn't see what he had said,
My parents, well, like regular people,
Your
no.
parents don't listen to this show. They got shit to do.
No, they don't. But if they did, they're boomers. They're
course.
full on.
it turns out Joe Rogan Sr. had always been watching. Conveniently, after Joe had made hundreds of millions of dollars, his father and half-sister went public via TikTok.
So for all you Joe Rogan fans out there, Joe's been telling his side of the story for 27 plus years. Now it's time for the original Rogans to tell our side of the story.
It begins with Joseph Sr. first calling his son out.
Lied about me. Your father. Tired of it, Joe. Just had enough. You couldn't handle me. 81 years old. You couldn't handle this guy right here. And when you said I beat up kids, I beat up other women, how could I get away with that? You lie. We all know you lie. You owe me a big apology.
Why would he lie about that, though?
Whilst his half-sister supported that their dad did nothing wrong.
Well, the thing is his half-sisters, they probably don't know his father that well. Ironically, spending more time with them. I mean, I'm sure you guys know a bunch of people who, you know who they really are, but the people around them don't really know who they are. You know, plus, you know, they're probably poor and Joe's rich. That's another, I don't know. I'm just not buying it. I think Joe's side of the story is right. You can see it in his face. Like, he's witnessed something like terrifying for like a child, and it's like scarred him to this day.
Joe, you were taken away at a very young age. Unfortunately, you did not get to grow up with the man that we were fortunate enough to grow up with, that my kids are fortunate enough to grow up with.
Maybe they're just like enabling him. I don't know. They definitely don't know him that well.
They try to make it seem like they simply wanted to talk.
Come here, sit down, and me and you talk. That's it. I won't tell nobody what was said. I'm a stand-up guy. I ain't like you making up stories so I can make money.
However, money seemed like the more obvious motive.
But he's not making money off of that story, you know. It was just like, I've been watching Joe Rogan for a while, and I didn't know about this until like 10 minutes ago.
You got all the money, everything, but you know what you don't have? You ain't got 2 balls.
I love when I see the comments. They just want the money. They want the money back. I have a box, Pandora's box. And if I open it, Joe, things would get really ugly.
The video concluded with his father stating this.
Family.
You know what's funny is they're just showing everyone who they are. you know, they're demanding things. They're making veiled threats. Like, does that not seem like a red flag to you guys? I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing it.
Is everything.
Leading him and the daughter to get mercilessly roasted. Family is everything. The guy who left his kid. Son, now that you're worth 500 million, I want to fix our relationship. His dad was silent for 27 years about this. He conveniently waited until Joe Rogan was the most powerful voice in the country and worth 110 million to come back into his life and square everything up. If it was about blood, he would have been there 50 years ago making things right. Despite the heavy backlash, Joe's family doubled down, stating on a press tour, "Growing up, my sister and I just had such a..."
It's like, if they really have a Pandora's box of whatever on Joe, like, why not just release it, you know?
A happy childhood. I just can't tell everyone enough what a great father we have. God has blessed us, she said. My father has never been violent ever. That is why Joe Jr.'s claims are such a shock to us. My father has never even raised his voice to us. He is the epitome of a wonderful father.
Again, like, they might know two separate people.
However, a podcast episode they did shortly after again portrayed the opposite. Joseph Sr. introduced his son like this.
As he was growing up, what did you notice in Joe?
He was soft.
Soft?
Yeah.
It's soft in what way, sir?
He wouldn't get involved with people, and he wasn't a tough kid.
And then proceeded to state,
Everybody out there, I'm going to tell you straight up, Joe's full of shit in plain English. He went to drama school. You can see he's a drama queen. Everything is drama to him.
if he's that crazy at 81, I can only imagine when he was 40. He then accused...
Like, it's just so funny that they're, like, revealing who they are. Joe's father just didn't accept him as a kid. He didn't like him because he wasn't someone that Joe wasn't someone that his father wanted to be, or wanted him to be. And that's why he was violent towards him. He doesn't even realize that he's exposing himself. What an idiot.
accuses his son of being gay.
Joe has sugar in his tank?
I bet on that.
Did you see signs of that when he was young?
Long time ago.
Did he ever show interest in girls?
I didn't see him much since he was 7 years old. I didn't even know what the girl was.
But it was clear that his father was simply bitter.
I think the wrong thing they did was give him that number 1 over his head. If you look at his head, it got bigger. His head got bigger than his head.
Despite this, Joseph Sr. still wanted to meet his son, stating, "I'm on my way out. I'm 80 years old. I'm in the rearview mirror, but I would like to see him. I definitely would sit down with him because he needs to listen to my side of the story." However, calling...
He's not ready to meet Joe. He's still stuck in his delusion. That just goes to show you guys, you know, you could be 80 years old and still have learned absolutely zero in life and be insecure and immature. So, maturity and security, you know, they don't come with age. That's something to think about.
Joe out made this way less likely, because recently, when Bert Kreischer asked Joe about his father, Joe refused to give the topic attention.
Wait, is your dad still alive? Yeah. Is your dad still alive?
Yeah, well, allegedly.
Positively, however, it's made Joe a better person.
Because I watch my kids I watch them, I talk to them, I communicate with them. I didn't have a good childhood. So for me, it's important to be a good dad. Talking to them, treating them like I'm not just their dad, but also I'm their friend and I care about them.
When Joe exposed...
All right. Thank you guys for watching if you made it this far. And until next time.